Plus these days I'm generally an unemployable layabout who makes videos in his garden and calls it work. There was a time when I was employed in what is known as a job. Now some of you guys might have jobs or be thinking about getting jobs, so I thought I'd share my wisdom with you and educate you in what I learnt in the workplace, like a sort of Norwich work Yoda. So the first job I ever had at Soccer AM involved mostly getting in the props and the costumes for the show, and the way we did that is we'd work Tuesday to Saturday. We had most of the week to come up with ideas and do things, but nothing was really confirmed until a script meeting on Friday morning that finished about 1 o'clock, which in hindsight was a bit mental because it meant I had about 4 hours to get all the props and costumes for the show to Austerley, and I'd have an immense list of different things that I had to get in and very little time, and it was very stressful, but I always got it. You see, I do believe as a general rule you can do more stuff than you think you can if you make lists and just say move a mountain a stone at a time, don't they? Just do thing after thing after thing and just chalk off little easy wins. You can get loads done. So I would say you can do more than you probably think you can. I made a lot of friends through my workplace. I think a lot of people do. When you start a new work, it can take a little while to get to know everyone, unless you go out to the pub once. Because I've found over the years, I can't work out the exact equation, but I think it's roughly one night out with workmates is the equivalent to 3 months of just sat in the office making polite small talk. You can move your relationship with your colleagues along so much quicker if you just go out and get lashed. Or not, if you don't drink, but just go for a good old night out. Yeah, always helps. Unless you do something mental. Then it will cause you problems. What I should say, by the way, is in order to have a good day at work, you need to have a good start to the day. And the way I've been doing that recently is with our video sponsor, Athletic Greens. Regular readers will know that I've been trying to get the best possible start to the day recently by improving my morning routine, and one of the things I've incorporated recently is AG1 by Athletic Greens. AG1 is a nutrition drink that helps support all sorts of things, including your gut health, your immune system, your brain function, loads and loads of stuff. But I use it, I guess, as a sort of insurance policy because effectively I'm an idiot. I'm going to do things during the day that aren't great for this body, but as long as I start with AG1, I'm mitigating the damage, essentially. It tastes like health. I used to have spirulina in drinks years ago when I lived in Canada, and you can definitely taste that, and it's got that sort of greeny taste, very pleasant. It's top notes of pineapple, perhaps? I find vintage. Now on this channel you have become accustomed to a cheeky little offer, and here is no exception, because if you use my link in the description down there to click on it and order your first shipment of AG1, you're going to get as a special little treat a 1 year supply of immune supporting D3, K2 vitamins plus 5 travel packs when you make your first order. You cannot put a price tag on good health. So get there, click, and give yourself the best possible start to the day. Most people just don't make that much effort. When I worked at Sky, I was there for 7 years, and we had work experience kids in every week, different ones generally, once a week. I can remember like 5 of them, maybe, because they were the 5 that stood out, and they all went onto jobs afterwards because they just went beyond the basics. They used their initiative, they offered to help, they just did things. And it's hard, I get, when you're young and in a new place, you don't want to be a problem and you don't want to annoy people, but you don't need to be constantly going at people, just saying, can I help? Would it help if I did this? Hey, I've done this bit of research, is that of any use? Just stuff like that, because most people just don't do that much. Most people don't turn up on time. And the number of times now that I'm in a position where I employ people, that people have just turned up late for what's a pretty good opportunity a lot of the time. Or in one case, a guy just didn't turn up because he forgot he was supposed to be working, and most people just don't try that hard, and if you do, it gets noticed. I remember when I was at Sky, I was having a stressful day one day, and I was having a little moan to John, the editor who I was working with that day, and he gave me some advice that's always stuck with me, which was to sort of get what you can from your job. I know that sounds a bit mercenary, but you're there to make the company money. You're not there because, for the kindness of their heart. There's nothing wrong with that. I get how the relationship works. But there's other things besides money you can get from a job. You can get training, you can get education, you can build contacts that's going to help you in your next career move. So even if you're feeling a bit down at your work, try and see what benefits you can get from it. It might just be a job that's not particularly taxing, and you can use that time to do other stuff and pursue side projects while you're working. So I'd say definitely be a bit mercenary and just see what you can get out of the job on the work. Following on from that, I'd also advise people to try and design the job that you want, or at least tailor the job you're doing to suit your own needs. In most cases, it's not as rigid as it might think. I mean, even my first ever job at Tesco, when I was working on checkouts, I thought, well, I need some extra money, and in the summer holidays, I want to do evening stuff, so I'd just go and talk to the warehouse person, try and pick up some extra shifts here and there. And there's bits you can do, or you can volunteer to do things that are slightly outside your normal duties, if you so desire. Going forward at Sky, it wasn't the best paid job I've ever had. I thought, well, what do I spend most of my money on? And at the time it was buying CDs and going to gigs. So I thought, if I can take on doing music stuff, I'll probably get free CDs and free gigs. And I did. I've got like boxes of them in the garage, too many now, CDs, and I was getting a couple of gigs a week. So you're not always going to have that as an option, but there's normally something you can do to make your work more what you want to do. Now, I'd argue it's good to be nice to people in general, but in particular in the workplace, I think it's good to be as friendly and as helpful to others and as just overall good as you possibly can, because you never know who's going to be able to help you in life. Like when I started my business, I needed clients to make videos for, and the people I thought that I got on well with, I thought, oh, they'll help me out, generally didn't. And it was people I didn't expect, who I'd met and been nice to, obviously, and all that were the ones that could then offer me work and help me get my business going. So I think you never know who it is that's going to come good for you in the future, so be nice to everyone, be as helpful as possible to everyone, and go out your way to help people, because these things come around, but not normally in the way you expect it. When I lived in Vancouver, I worked in a coffee shop, and I was there, sure, maybe a month or so before I got sacked out of the blue, and I wasn't expecting it. It was a dignified sacking, because the guy who ran the coffee shop also ran a garage, a gas station or petrol station, as you non-North Americans say. So he said that you can't work here at the coffee shop, but you can come work at the gas station if you want. It's the same money. So it was quite a dignified way to get sacked. And the reason was I was talking to customers too much. I wasn't getting people through the line or something like that. I was being too social, which I thought was kind of the idea of it. And I get now that it necessarily wasn't, but I didn't know this, and that could have been changed. I probably would have changed my behaviour if I'd been told, hey, this isn't right, you need to hurry this along. So it's something that, as I've employed people for bits and that, I've tried to be a bit more mindful of, and I've seen it in other places of work. We all haven't known that their performance isn't what's being expected of them. They thought they were doing a good job and didn't know. So I think don't assume that people know whether they're working hard or doing the right thing or not, because unless you tell people, they just don't always understand, and then they go and work in a gas station, which, to be fair, it did suit me better. I think the final one for me is the most important one. That is that most of the time it doesn't really matter. Like in some cases it does. If you're a surgeon and you just walk out halfway through an operation, the patient dies, yeah, it does. That matters. But a lot of the time it's not that big a deal in work, and things that seem like a big deal and seem very stressful, particularly if you make a mistake or get something wrong, it just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And then years later you can barely remember things. I remember being really stressed that I got something wrong or done something at work in the past when I was at Sky or my first job or anything really, but I can't remember the details now because in the long run it didn't really affect me. That said, work hard, do your best, because if you always get things wrong it is going to cause problems, but one little thing, don't worry. That's generally my advice for work and life. Just don't worry. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you found it in any way useful or of vague interest. I get quite a few people asking for sort of life advice style videos occasionally, so I thought I'd do one, and if it's not useful, sorry. Cheers for Athletic Greens for sponsoring. Get your AG1 down there, link in the description, all this, and let us know in the comments what advice you'd give people in work and what you've learned in the workplace. Cheerio. I'm off to work. No, really, this is my work. Weird that now.